All right, it's backward hats time. It's rally cap time here on Snap Tackle Pod because it's playoff time in Kansas City, Missouri.
You
We're
don't want
here
my
for
theory on
them.
backwards hats, right?
What's that?
You're over the age that you should be wearing a hat backwards. You're in your
I
house
will
though,
wear a
so
hat backward as much as I wear it forward all the
I
time.
will say this: you're at your house, so that's okay.
Yeah. No, I'm wearing it backwards. I'm doing it.
In public,
At work, most of the time I have a hat on backwards. And then at 6:10, I'll put on nice clothes. And then by 6:32, I have those clothes back off. Yeah.
how do you make your hair look so good? You TV
So
guys,
good.
you got the coif of
We
hair.
have
I mean,
we have
if I
a
put a hat on, it's done. It's done. I
Yeah,
can't.
you got some deals. You got to wet it down. A lot of times you take a shower beforehand. I'll work out at work some, and then take a shower. And yeah, I
I
live there.
forget. I forget you guys have like full facilities there. It's almost like me being here at my house.
It is a little bit. So yeah, no, I don't. I'm all gray up top, so I have to have a hat on.
Oh, I'm great upset too.
So
I'm
yeah,
getting
but we're
getting gray.
rallying here because it's week 10, which means it's playoff time in Missouri and playoff time in Kansas for high
Okay,
school football.
when did Kansas start officially calling it just week 9?
I think they always have, haven't they not?
I just thought it was first round of
Instead of like
playoffs.
first round of the playoffs.
Yeah,
Because used to, I think both states, right? You had a week 9 in Kansas, which was your
week 10.
regular season, and depending on what era you were in, half the teams made the playoff, or a quarter of the teams made the
Yes.
playoff. Like in my high school days, we had a couple of years we were really good. We had a couple 7-2 teams, but actually, yeah, Garden Plain was better, right? And so they were the one of the 4 teams that made it out of the playoffs. And so that's how they do it. Now, at the smaller classes now in Kansas, they still do it that way. Not everybody makes the playoffs.
Yeah, but
4,
it's
5, 6, 8, everybody does.
but it's still 4 out of the
8,
district. They still
yeah.
yeah. So the biggest
It's
those
better
districts
than
are like
before.
6. Yeah, it's better than before.
Better
So
than
no,
before.
I don't know. We've been everybody making the playoffs for a solid decade now, plus in Missouri, and then almost what 6, 7, 8 years, I guess, in Kansas. It's been a while. I'd have to go back and look. I
I think
was
it's longer than
against it.
that. I think it's longer than that.
I think that Missouri has done a good job, especially in the last few years, of addressing what was the biggest problem with it that Kansas has still not addressed. Though this year's has an anomaly in 4A, so you can't really claim that this is a problem. But the 1-8 game in Missouri was just a brutal beatdown. Um, and not that you can't recover from it, because I remember Lincoln Prep went to Maryville one year and got beat 77 something, and
Mm-hmm.
then a few years back under William Lowe they went up there and they beat Maryville. So it was a kind of a state of that program, but they've gotten rid of that, and what you end up in Class 6, because there's a lot of 5-team districts, you get 1, 2, and 3 are off for the week.
Yeah,
So
I don't like that. If I'm a kid,
I
I want to play I want to play every week. I don't need a bye week.
I do
I
too.
like that Kansas doesn't do bye weeks.
I kind of agree, but at the same time, if it's going out there and you're playing, and then you're playing for a quarter, maybe somebody gets hurt, or if you're banged up. I mean, I think if you would ask Travis Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes, they enjoyed their week off.
Well,
They
I know
took
they
off.
did, but they're playing for a living, right? And I mean, games are precious in high school. You might only have 9 or 10 every year, and you might only be on varsity 1 or 2 years. And so I think every week matters. And so if you're going to give those top 3 or 4 teams a bye, right, in Missouri, I'd rather you lop off the bottom 3 or 4 teams and just go play
I
everybody that first week.
I'm kind of that's my other theory, is that you should make your district your conference. You play a regular. I wouldn't have a problem with 8-team districts in that sense, because you would take the top 4 teams and they would go on. And if you still want to do a week 10 thing and do it that way, the bottom 4 teams could play each other. Use the old point system, the plus 21 or plus 13, whatever you want to use, that kind of thing, and go from there. But no, we had it like that for a while. I guess I'm used to it at this point. Now the
Yeah.
class 6, and having smaller districts and going, that at least got them all on the same weekend. Having class 6 a week before the rest of them, I
That
didn't
was dumb.
like, and I will love it even more next year when they are in lovely St. Joseph, Missouri,
St. Joseph, Missouri. That's right. And
which
then, I
will
mean,
they
now
will
you
be.
have Missouri bookending Kansas. They start a week early and they end a week later. Kansas, let's go. Add another game, for crying out loud. Just another regular season game. Doesn't have to be
Well,
another round of the playoffs. I'm fine with that. Add another regular season game. And maybe start pursuing some sort of strength of schedule with your standings and your seedings, because this year, more than a lot of years, is making a lot of people upset. We'll get to that in a second. Let's get to last week first here, Dion. Some big takeaways. I loved it. I read. I didn't know about it until I read your website. Tonganoxie, Ottawa, a classic last week. Two teams are
Yes.
very talked about.
Well, the great thing is, and I'm going to give a shout out to the people who do Tonganoxie Sports Live, Lewisburg Sports Live, all those great broadcasts are kind of put on by the same people. You could flip into that game. I flipped into it probably 10 different times, and I think it was tied every single time with different
And
scores.
they had the same
It's
record
not
going
possibly,
in. It was tied at
yeah,
31 going to overtime.
yes. And Tonganoxie scores, makes the extra point in overtime, and then they go for it. Ottawa scores, and they're going for two. It's like a wildcat formation, and the running back runs over to the one side, and then this is probably why he's playing running back and not quarterback. Throws back across his body into the middle of the field, and he gets intercepted for Tonganoxie to win that game. And two pretty evenly matched teams, and that's how that game ended up. But no, that was a great game, and on a night full of pretty good games. You had some overtime games there as well. So yeah, good game.
There's some close games maybe you wouldn't have expected, especially in years past in the EKL. You had Blue Valley West barely getting by St. James. I'm not sure Blue Valley West had an offensive point in the second half. They had some special teams points, but they were able to skate by St. James. We'll talk about the Thunder here in a little bit. And then, Olathe North and Shawnee Mission North, they combined for, 93 points?
Yeah.
47-43 Olathe North win.
Yeah, that one was back and forth all night. I mean, that was, it seems like I feel like as the season goes on, you start to get more low scoring games, especially in the postseason, things like that. But every once in a while, come late October, early November, you get a 47-43 or 47-46, and it's all I could do to keep up with that score on the scoreboard. Every time I'm rechecking it, it had changed. It seemed like, and Shawnee Mission North, it looked like they were going to get their first one over Olathe North. As I was thinking about that, I was like, it's probably been a long time since they beat them, but I think the Will Schneider Shawnee Mission North team beat an Olathe North back about 7-8 years ago. I think that's probably the best Shawnee Mission North team they've had in a while, since probably the
he was the all-time leading passer in the state of Kansas.
Yeah. Will Schneider it's probably the Mac Brown era and the Will Schneider era, and then even though they don't have a lot of wins to show for it currently, what they're doing with Coach Andy Walter, and they're more competitive than they've been since the Schneider era.
It's about from Missouri here. Should we be talking about Park Hill more? I feel bad. They're 7-2. They're the number one seed in their district, and they're rolling right now.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. They got to win over Liberty. They beat Oak Park pretty easily. I think their defense is playing better, which is kind of what was their bugaboo the last few years, and that's kind of allowed them to do things. They're always talented offensively. They've always got good players. And Andy Sims' offense is designed to get points on the board. But as a defensive guy, he's got to feel pretty good about this group. When you talk to him, talked to him last week, and he'll tell you, we don't necessarily have the big time talent that they've had at Park Hill, and we can just roll off some big time names, Chester Graves and people like that who are big time talents. He's especially on the defensive side. They just got a lot of guys who just are playing well together. That's one beauty of defense is, it's nice to have that big time stud lineman or that linebacker who's making all the plays, but you could play team defense in high school and win some games. Beat sound in your scheme, rally to the ball, and you can do that. In fact, I can remember a few years back in Odessa when they won a state title, and then they were going towards a state title, and then got COVID sat down as they looked like they're going to roll to another one. The year before, they had a defense that had big time players on it, and then they graduated those guys, and the defense was numbers wise even better. And they're talking to Mark Fabian at Excelsior Springs, and he goes, "Oh no, they're better this year because they're team defense. They're so sound defensively. There's not one guy you have to account for because they come at you from everywhere." So that's what Park Hill really has done, and good on them. And that district's going to be interesting. I could see Oak Park being in that mix again, but North Kansas City's a solid team as well. So that's one that's going to be interesting. And they match up with the Blue Springs South, Liberty North, Blue Springs district, which will be a tough one, as both the first, assuming Blue Springs beats Truman. And Truman, I'm not trying to rain on your parade, but you're definitely a decided underdog in this game. If Blue Springs beats Truman, you're going to end up with first round of playoff for everybody except Blue Springs rivalry game.
Yeah.
Liberty North, Blue Springs South. So
Yeah.
No, those Class 6 brackets will be interesting in that 7 and 8. And then you have 6 that has Lee Summit North,
Yeah.
Rockhurst, and a improved Lee Summit West that has Ray Peck they have to get through this week. So
Okay.
that's going to be interesting, Class 6.
You
I
mentioned
know I went a long way
Lisa North.
around there.
Lisa North was trailing for a good portion of that game last week against Lee Summit. We were talking beforehand. There were some upsets last week, a lot of near upsets. This was
Yeah.
another one. Lee Summit North, how are they able to come back, get the win over Lee Summit, and stay undefeated, the number one team in Kansas City?
They kind of turned up their defense a little bit and stopped giving up some big plays. Lee Summit, they tried to run the ball a little more in the second half, and that didn't really work for them. And then, Lee Summit North hit some big plays as well. So hats off to Lee Summit North for that comeback. I don't know if they want to continue to spot teams 20 points and trail because it's going to get tougher every step of the way. If they get Lee Summit West, that's a very much improved Lee Summit West team in round one. And then they're going to have to beat either a Rockhurst or a Lee Summit in round two. And then after that, it's a team like Nixa if they get out of that district. So, the thing that they've got to do is they've got to stop making penalties.
We've said that since week one.
I don't know how you line up, get a false start, line back up, and get another false start before the ball is actually snapped. I don't know how you do that.
I've seen plenty in high school football. Usually not from undefeated teams, to your point.
No, that's my point is that they've got to clean that up or else they're not going to get to where they want to go. And I'm not even talking about the 5 holding calls or, that kind of stuff. I mean, basic lining up is an issue and they need to clean that up.
All right. Of the undefeated teams left, speaking of Lee Summit North, we've got Lee Summit North. You've got Aquinas. You have Platte County. You have Kearney. Lewisburg no longer part of the unbeatens. And you have Pembroke Hill. I believe that's all. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Who's got the best shot of going all the way here?
I'm going to go with
because there's no time to take a loss now. It's over. That time's over.
I think Kearney's proven. I think Kearney's proven that they're the best in their district.
Yeah.
That they should have no problem getting out of that. They would see a Lutheran North in the semifinals if it got that far. They look like a team that, they lost some good players off that team, but defensively they're so good. And offensively, they have an identity. They know exactly what they want to do. They were able to replace players they lost. They, to me, seem like the biggest lockdown. Of course, they would have to take on a Lutheran North team that just beat Cardinal Ritter, who's the team that Platte County would have to get through if they get out of their district eventually in the state championship game. The Platte County's playing pretty well too, but they've got a district that has St. Pius and Fort Osage who will have to play each other, which is, if you're Platte County, that one seed looks great because you're only playing one of those two teams. So, I'd say Kearney and Platte County are the two off the top of my head. Aquinas, I don't know who's coming out of that 5A bracket. And I think Aquinas is a really good football team, but there's a lot of good football teams they're going to have to beat to just get out and head to
talk about that
4A state championship game.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. It's a minefield in a lot of these brackets here. So let's get right to it. We'll start in Kansas 6A here. There's 16 teams, right, on the east side. Yeah. 13 are Sunflower League teams, right? Since Blue Valley North and Blue Valley dropped to 5A, they brought Lawrence and Lawrence Free State over finally on the east side. They've been on the west side forever. This is just the Sunflower League Invitational, basically, sprinkled in with Blue Valley Northwest and Blue Valley West.
Yeah, pretty much. Maybe the Sunflower League could find a way to add 16, get to 16, and they can just have the whole bracket. And then they can just crown the Sunflower League champion
in 6A.
6A,
yeah.
Which we won't dive too deep into that, but I've always heard that's coming, but it never seems to happen in football.
They've kind of been where they've been at forever. Kind of enrollment.
No,
wise. I think they're not even the biggest 5A. I think they're like
No, I thought they were going to get there, but they DeSoto might be the one that
every 2-year cycle everybody thinks it's going to happen, but. Problem is they can't bring in too many more students. They're kind of landlocked.
Yeah.
2 expansions of the school, and they're kind of already busting at the seams.
There's some good games in round one that you got to look at, and I think right off the top is Thursday's game of Olathe Northwest, Olathe South is one that looks really good. Olathe South
got a Thursday game this week.
There's 3 Thursday games this week.
Oh my gosh.
When you share stadiums, buddy, you
I
gotta play
guess
on.
so. Even still in the playoffs. Three. Okay, so which one? Like the Northwest, like the South, you said?
I like that game a lot. I think that's a
Yeah,
good
I
game.
do.
And I like the Northwest quietly had a very good season, I think. And maybe that's, on people like you and I that not talk about him that much, but Lauren Clark and his staff, uh, you know, did a really good job there. And no, it really, to me, that game is one of those that's going to be interesting to see how that comes out because Lake the South's playing really good football right now. And Max Armstrong and their tailback has put together a couple big weeks. You saw them in week one. You know they're pretty solid. They just are
Yeah.
losing a lot of close games. So that's one that
Well, there's
really.
what they have two 1 point losses, I
Mhm.
believe, and their non-con was against Great Bend. They took that loss at the time, like, what the heck? And then Great Bend is undefeated in 5A.
Yes. Great man
And
looks
then
pretty
they
good
come
right
back,
now.
they lose to Olake the Northwest by one, Olake the West by one. And then since then, minus a blanking against Shimerson Northwest, they've looked good against two good teams in Lawrence and Shimerson East.
Yeah, no doubt. And
So,
it's like I said, it's gonna be that's the one to watch, I think, in the first round over there. I mean, because the other Shawnee Mission East and Lawrence, and that's
I like Lake the East or Lake the North. Lake the North has shown
yeah,
maybe they can't stop a whole lot of people, but they can score. They figured it out. Jamo Sarver is like a 3 year starter at quarterback. They're a real good running back in Adger. Um, and so they're don't look at that record, right? They're still a lot. They're still like the North,
yeah,
and that's kind of strength be strength, right? To like the East defense, like the North offense.
yeah. I agree. That's one too. That's because you kind of forget about Lathan North because they weren't winning a lot of games early, but
Yeah.
they played pretty well the last few weeks, especially offensively.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then, I mean, you look at a couple of these others. What Shemish Northwest, Shemish South just played last week, and maybe a closer
Yes.
game than people thought. They're playing. They're playing again here.
The one thing I wonder, China South, they suffered some big injuries in that game, and
Oh, did they?
in fact, I think they had a kid go down, and it was I don't know what the status of was, but there was a long break there, and they just kind of ended the game with like 3 minutes to go.
Yeah,
Because they just were, I think they were kind of rattled. They lost a couple of people. Shawnee Mission's out, like I said, they look kind of banged up, and um, Shawnee Mission Northwest, of course, Cole Young is the leading person in Raymore of the Raymore Shawnee Mission Northwest fan club.
yeah,
He's a big booster of Shawnee Mission Northwest. I think he may be an honorary. The deeper they go, he may be an honorary Cougar
yeah,
before it's all said and done. But no, it's I like Shawnee Mission Northwest, but that little corner of the bracket there. If they get past, they're going to get Olathe East or Olathe North.
yeah.
And
Five
then if
of
they
the
get out
eight
of that,
games
and then if
are.
they get out of that, they're probably going to go up against possibly a Blue Valley West. So they've got a tough. They're a good team. They may be the second best team in 6A East
Yeah,
and may not make it to the semis.
yeah. I struck down to Kansas 5A. This one's kind of nuts. You have Aquinas is the 1 seed, Mill Valley's the 4, Blue Valley the 6. And I think most people would say those three teams are kind of the favorites there. And
Yes.
so everybody's mad, right? Mill Valley's mad that they have to face Aquinas so early. Usually, right, it's a sub-state game to go to state. You have Blue Valley, who's like they got to play St. James as a 6 seed right off the bat. And probably Aquinas is mad saying, hey, Mill Valley and Blue Valley should be the 2-3. They should
Yeah.
have to play to get to come to our house. We still have to play one of them. So nobody is happy there. And then the 2 and the 3 seed, DeSoto, the 2, Baser, the 3, even though Baser beat DeSoto. That was in Missouri, right? Baser would have jumped
Yeah.
DeSoto, same record, doesn't matter points. They would have flip-flopped him. DeSoto's got Blue Valley North out of the EKL, and Baser's got Blue Valley Southwest. How's that for a 2-15 and a 3-14 game? It's crazy in the 5A bracket.
Yeah. The 5A bracket's going to be interesting because, you got a Spring Hill team that's playing its best and is really defensively one of the better teams going against Shawnee Heights, who's just going to throw the ball all over
Shawnee
the
Heights,
place.
a team that throws for like 350 yards a game.
Yeah. It's that first week, Friday night's going to be just crazy. There's
Uh,
somebody's going to lose. Somebody's going to lose. There's a couple that I'm going to say they're not going to lose. I think that Aquinas and Mill Valley are pretty safe. And I'm sorry, Turner and Harmon, but that's just kind of the way that is. But the rest, Washington's a home team. They're going to get a tough Leavenworth. Those are a pretty good Washington team. See if they can get a win there for the Meadowlark League. But Spring Hill's got Shawnee Heights. Highland Park is a home team is getting Pittsburgh. I mean, it's Basal Blue Valley Southwest, Blue Valley St. James. I mean,
I mean, you have an 11. I'm sure St. James upset too. I mean, they got to play with
yeah,
Blue Valley, but they're playing great football right now. They got to be the best 3-5 team right in the state. They're the 11th seed, and then like I said, you have a 14 and a 15 seed from the EKL who are battle tested,
mm-hmm.
who have like close losses against great teams on their resume as well. Yeah, no, it definitely get wild in 5A. All right, and then 4A. I mean, there's a couple conversations to have here. First of all, the one of like, how's Bishop VA still in 4A, right? We have that every single year, and should there be a multiplier, yada yada yada. Well, there's that one, and then there's Lewisburg, who's been the best team in 4A all season long,
Yeah.
who one loss to a 7-1 5A team by 1 point last week in a game that could have gone either way, drops them to the 2 seed, and they're playing Bishop Miege. Most likely the 2 best teams in that bracket are playing in the first round.
Yeah, it's tough. I feel for Lewisburg, and really hats off to Spring Hill, because Lewisburg, one, got a turnover deep in Spring Hill's end, forced a field goal. Another time drove deep into Spring Hill and got another field goal. They lose 14-13. If either one of those are touchdowns, they're sitting at the top of the bracket.
Yeah.
They're, facing a Bonner Springs team that they pounded already. And then get a Lansing or Eudora team, in the second round, probably that they should beat. And it's, they're feeling pretty good until maybe a Tonganoxie game, 2 rounds down the thing, and not even thinking about anybody else until, semifinals.
Yeah.
Well, now you got Bishop Miege in week 1. And, it's a one win team who, as we talked about last week, won their only game and moved from the 14 to the 15.
Well, right, exactly. And I mean, they have a 3-point loss to St. Thomas Aquinas, who is the number 1 seed in 5A.
Yes. So it's just one of those years. It is what it is. I mean, if you're Lewisburg, you have to have the mindset of, if we were going to get out of this bracket or go deep in this bracket, we were going to have to play them and beat them at some point. So might as well take it round 1. And
I think it's cool, though. I mean, as far as possible, I like it. I mean, another week of football. You're with the final 16 teams, final 8, all that. I think there's something to that. You want a patch for winning, hell, whatever it's called, sectionals, regionals, sub-state, whatever. You
guys handle a lot of trophies. Kansas hands out a lot of trophies.
Yeah, exactly. I think advancing matters. It's not just like win it all or bust for these teams. So I think it's really unfair.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, there's and there's another one in 4A that I think is interesting is Ottawa Piper. Piper's been playing good football the last few weeks under new coach Cole Org, and that's a team that always has talent. And so it's one of those where, you're Ottawa coming off a tough loss, you're having one of your better seasons you had in a while, and then you get a Piper team that is awake and playing good football. Probably figured got things learned under a new coach, and that's kind of the deal there. So that's a good one. Lewisburg Bishop Miege is a good one. I think Lansing Eudora is not bad, but the rest of them are, Sumner and Labette County. Sumner gets a home game, and they've got a shot to, maybe go on and play the winner of that Lewisburg Bishop Miege game.
Yeah. All right, let's do this on the Missouri side. Find me some good games, Dion. Where are they? What are they?
Well, let's just do big 3 on the Missouri side. Ruskin, Grain Valley. This was a tight game for a half last time, and Ruskin did a good job of shutting down Robert Palmer, who did not play last week, a little sore leg, so they rested him against Truman. So he should be back this week. That's a good, Tim Callahan's a coach at Ruskin, the second year. They are much improved. Grain Valley, they're in that district with Webb City and Carthage and Neosho. They got a home game. And if they win, they'll get another home game as the 2 seed in their district. So they want to keep moving forward. So that should be a good one in Class 5 and in District 6. You got Staley and Park Hill South in that 4-5 game. In District 8 in Class 6, and Staley got a good win over Ray Peck last week. Park Hill South has been getting better. They beat Staley a couple weeks ago, so this is a game that's kind of a rematch from earlier, and those are 2 teams that did not start the season off great, but are playing better football now. So that's a good what a 4-5 game should be. Then you got University Academy Summit Christian, and this was a 3-point game 3 weeks ago. Summit Christian got a field goal there at the end, and Two crossroads teams who see each other in week one. So those are probably the best. There's some other ones out there, but it's slim pickings when you sit down the number one, number two, in some places number three seeds in districts. Now next week you're going to see a lot of great ones in those district semifinals. That's when you're really going to get some of your best stuff. The next 2 weeks of Missouri are usually your two best. The one that I'm curious about, I don't think that I don't know if Todd Vaughn's got his postseason magic put together, but Belton's going down to Webb City. It's not your daddy's Webb City. It's a 4-5 game. So, Belton has been known to pull some late season stuff. They usually are a better football team than they were during the regular season. So that would be one to keep an eye on. So those are kind of the games right there. Grandview Harrisonville's not a bad game. You just don't know which Harrisonville team's going to show up. Grandview's struggled most of the year. And then Hogan and Kip Legacy is another solid game. Now Kip is 2 points away from being the one seed in their district because they lost 2-0 to Pembroke Hill. They would have very easily been the one seed in their district and had the week off, but they get Hogan, who struggled this year. That's a young team, but Hogan beat Kip last year in the same game and went on. So, and that could have a lot to do with the fact that Hogan has been a program, it's Spill Scola. They have, they're used to winning games in the postseason, where Kip was a first year varsity program last season and playing the playoffs was new to them. But now they're seniors. This is the first, they started 2 years of junior varsity and then this is their second year of varsity. So the seniors there, the first class to go all the way through. So that's what we kind of gotten, Raytown. I like Raytown playing better. They're going to Neosho and you just don't know, Raytown South's going down to Nevada. And those are two teams, in Raytown in 5 and Raytown South in 4. You just don't know on those trips. You just don't know. You don't know how that's far away, and you don't know how teams reacted. But Raytown is a much better team than they've been. And Raytown South Young has gotten better as the season's gone on.
Sure. Yeah. All right. Over on the Kansas side, we've hit on these games already, but you've got Bishop Meades Lewisburg, Lawrence Shawnee Mission East.
Yes.
And St. James Blue Valley. I want to mention Chris Aiello from Blue Valley. 8 touchdown passes the last 2 weeks? A team that's known for its defense, right? The offense has kind of been the story.
Yeah, and they're, like I said, they're a Tate Nagy 37-second drive away from being in a different spot. And they played really well. And they played, that was a good win against MH last week. And, talking to people I know who are Blue Valley people, and I'll name him, one Ryan Wallace, who's a Blue Valley grad.
Yeah.
He was just nervous as all get out. He said he goes, I think Blue Valley is better than Bishop Meades. They should win this game, and they should win it not easily, but should control the game. And they did. He goes, but at the same time, he goes, they didn't. He goes, we never play well at Meades.
Yeah.
And so that was a good win. That was a good win for them.
Everything's so close to EKL this year. It really is. I mean, you've got really good teams. Every year you're going to have the top and the bottom, but it's a razor thin margin of error, I think, because there's no bad teams, right? Occasionally have 1 or 2 that's kind of going through a rebuilding year. Not this year, not at all.
No, it's going to be a fun one this week.
Yep.
A little more fun on the Kansas side.
Yeah,
on the Missouri side.
Let's quickly get to Simone Awards. You can check out. I looked; it's updated already. Check out PrepsKC.com for your statistical leaders, passing, rushing, and receiving. We'll start passing here, and this usually leads to the Simone Award talk here. The skill positions. We got Aiden Scott from Shawnee Heights still kind of filling it up, but there's Aiello from Blue Valley. He's averaging 262 yards a game, got 20 touchdowns.
Aiello's made a big move, and
and he's got more than Bowen.
Yeah,
wow, I didn't know that.
He does not have the 800 yards rushing that Banks Bowen has.
That. No.
That's your dual threat guy. The names off the passing list that I would say are probably Aiello, Bowen, and Nagy are the three on the Missouri side. And then you got the Zane Thomas kid from.
Man, I'm telling you, I'm gonna start talking about Park Hill more.
And Lehman from Lee Summit as well. So those are some guys right there that and Rocco from Rocco Marriott who would probably have bigger numbers if he was playing full games.
Yes.
They're hanging 50 plus a game. Those are the and then the rushing guys, Reggie, he kind of came out of the game last week for you guys, but Cal Arndt from St. Thomas Aquinas as having a fantastic season for them, averaging, that's a guy who's not very big, who gets a lot done. And then, Liberty Jackson Hicks, he's barreling towards, depending on what they do against Liberty North, he's got a shot at 2,000 yards. Robert Palmer's only played 8 games, still averaging 164 a game. And, that's definitely one there. And then, those are kind of the guys there that I would say, right off the top. And, um, the receiving, you got the Shawnee Heights guys up top, and then still Larry Porter didn't get his updated this week, didn't get the updated information from the Raytown
He only had
coaches.
a couple catches, I think. It's a good Platte County squad last week. We shot that game. He's going to be our athlete of the week this week, though. He's still filling it up.
Yeah.
About 150 yards per game,
150 yards per
all the
game.
touchdowns.
If they had a few more wins, you could see as a receiver maybe sniffing that spot. So yeah, that's what that is. And our elite team, we're working on that as well, and we're doubling back, talking about quarterbacks this week, and we'll be diving into that a little bit more. But no, looking forward to all that coming postseason stuff coming together. It's getting there.
Reese last week, by the way, he had 150 yards left on the first drive of the third quarter, and the backup came in and ran for 120. He was on pace for about 300, and hopefully he can get back this week. I think he will. But still 150 yards, and his yards per carry is up to like 7.5 now. But yeah, Jackson Hicks from Liberty just keeps piling up touchdowns and yards. Still about 9 yards per carry for a Liberty team. I think it's improving, right? Getting
like I said, that if he's gonna continue, 200 yards a game is going to be a lot tougher given what's in front of him.
Sure,
if they're continuing, because it's going to be Liberty North, and then either Blue Springs or Blue Springs South, and then either a Park Hill or an Oak Park or North Kansas City, and then maybe a DeSmet. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's the road ahead for all of the people who are in those districts. The Blue Springs South got the 2 kids that are getting close to 1,000 yards. So they've got a chance to have 2,000-yard rushers. In KJ Hawkins and Darius Morgan. So it'll be tougher. It's going to be tougher to go on, because now it's kind of like baseball. You get in the postseason, you're not facing the 5th starter anymore.
Ask Aaron Judge that. Yeah.
Yeah. Ask Aaron Judge that, or ask, I don't know, hitters 4 through or 5 through 9 for the Royals. All those guys who may not be Royals next year. You never know.
those guys for the Royals hitting the postseason a lot closer to what they were in the regular season than Aaron Judge. The gap Aaron Judge has between the two.
No doubt.
All right, man. Let the fans get as well. Enjoy all the games on Friday night. This is the last night where everybody's still playing football.
Yep.
Shopping and a half ish after this weekend.
No doubt.
All right. For Dion, I'm Mick. We'll see you next time on Snap Tackle Pod.